There was one year in my childhood that really left a lasting impression on my life. It was the year I finally met Jesus. Even as a child, I was in love with Jesus. Well, at least the thoughts I had about Jesus. I loved to go to church, family worship and singing. I loved the fact that I went to our church school. Morning worship and week of prayer was my favorite times at school. I also liked going to nature walks with my school. I was taught good Christian morals and values at an early age, but I did not have a personal encounter with Jesus until the year my mother left us and went overseas. It was a lonely, difficult year for me, but it was also the year I learned that Jesus was real. I remember my pastor at the time, during a week of prayer meeting, teaching on the topic of faith. I took all he said to heart, and so I began to speak to Jesus. During the summer of that year, every morning when I woke up, I would run to the hills at the back of the house. There was a particular spot where I would stand and spread out my arms to the Lord. I always believed that God saw me and that He was there. Then I would lie down on the grass and tell God my heart. I had 2 requests for Him every day. Please, God, send my mother back, and always my second request would be, please send me back to Barbados, where I was born. During these times, I began to believe God was real. As I looked at the sky, I was mesmerized by the shape the clouds would form. As the wind blew on my skin, it assured me that God was hearing my prayers and that He has answered. The sun was my constant friend, and it always warms my heart. The sun seems to make everything feel better. Then there was the river. Something about water that calms and comforts my troubled spirit, and still does today. I would go to the river, seeking the homes of the crayfish, trying to catch them. I was amazed by the weeds that grew at the side of the water. It was all a mystery for me, and there always seems to have beautiful rocks under the bushes. I was captivated by the sun shimmering on the water and how my hands looked through the water. The changing of the temperature of the sun would warn me that it was time to go home, or my grandmother or auntie would come looking for me. They did not know I went down by the water alone. As I look back, I can see how God had protected me. Often, I would take a long walk in the river further downstream. It was my way of shutting out the madness of those days to just be with God. It was not too long after that God did answer my prayer, and my mother came back, and she sent me and my brothers back to Barbados. From that point on, the scripture that says, I would never leave you nor forsake you, became one of my favorite. Because indeed, God has kept His words, and He has stayed with me throughout my life.